Hello everyone and welcome to Nuxt Performances. So, my name is Debbie O'Brien. I am Head Developer Advocate at bit.dev. I'm also a Nuxt Ambassador, a teacher at Vue School. I'm an Auth0 Ambassador, a Google Developer Expert, a Media Developer Expert, a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and a GitHub Star. And you can follow me on Twitter, Debs_O'Brien. And this is my favorite picture of me because this is me on a cruise ship before the world went crazy. Literally on a cruise ship in Antarctica, where I went to speak at a conference in Antarctica. Absolutely amazing experience. And I love this picture because it reminds me of how life was before all this went crazy. But yeah, this was incredible experience. And if you ever get the chance to go to Antarctica, I highly recommend it. It is out of this world. Best place ever to work. The internet's terrible, but you know, it's fine. So let's have a look at what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to talk about Nuxt, obviously. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Webpack, about progressive web apps. And I didn't put this here, but I'm going to talk about Nuxt image. Yeah, I know. Very cool. So first of all, you should all know what Nuxt is. If you don't know what Nuxt is a meta framework on top of Vue. It's going to make your life easier because you just get all this out of the box. You get all these extra performance issues, but you can also get all these other extra things that you don't have to do. So it's still using Vue. You still have to learn Vue, but you're just getting extra stuff on top of it, right? So that's basically what Nuxt is. Nuxt is great and very easy to get started with. So I highly recommend you all use Nuxt to build your applications, but that's just me. But there you go. Okay, so let's take a look at Nuxt Performances that come out of the box. What does out of the box mean? It means like you don't have to do anything to get this. It just works, right? It's great. It's like out of the box. So one of the things that Nuxt gives you is code splitting. So you automatically split your code into smaller bundles. And this is done for you. So you don't even have to think about it or worry about it, which is really, really, really cool. Minified code. So your code is minified by default. So, you know, I mean, before you used to have to do like, you know, gulp and things like that, or you have to go into Webpack and change the Webpack config. Well, Nuxt does it all for you. So you don't have to worry about that or config anything. It's just done. Great. HTTP compression. So it serves gzip by default. So again, much more performant, and you got ETAG, you got web cache validation, and so many other things like critical CSS, etc. So all these are done for you. But I'm going to have a deeper look. I'm going to take a deeper look into code splitting because it's really, really, really important. Now, we use Webpack. And I know you're all kind of like on Vite mad these days, right? You want Vite or Vite, however you're pronouncing it. And it's amazing. Vite is amazing for sure. And you can use Vite in development mode and you will be able to use it for Nuxt 3 in development. But in production, as far as I know and as far as today, we're still going with Webpack 5 because it gives us just these extra features that we need. So Vite might get to a different stage, who knows? But right now, Webpack for production is what we're using, and you can use Vite in development. And there's already a Nuxt module out there to use it, so you can just like start playing around with it. So why are we using Webpack? Like, what is Webpack giving us exactly? And I know every time someone hears the word Webpack or sees the Webpack logo, they just go crazy and they're like, oh my God, Webpack is so scary. Webpack's not that scary, right? And one of the reasons you shouldn't have to worry about it is because Nuxt takes that away from you. You don't have to worry about Webpack. You don't even see the Webpack config. Like, Nuxt is taking it away and it's doing everything for you, and therefore you don't have to know anything about Webpack. You don't even have to know that Webpack's there. But I'm just going to tell you what Webpack is doing for you automatically, without you even having to do anything. So yeah, don't get scared and go, oh, it's Webpack, right? I want you to think, you're getting all this? Like, you're basically learning Webpack without having to actually, you know, learn Webpack, right? Okay, so what does Webpack give you? So in Nuxt, we got root-based chunks. So we're going to take a deeper dive into this in a minute. We've got split chunks, link preloading, smart link prefetching, dynamic imports, magic comments, and the bundle analyzer for your code, right? So this is why we're using Webpack, and I'm just a big fan of Webpack. So let's take a deeper dive into code splitting, right? So basically when when we talk about code splitting, we're talking about splitting our code into different chunks, right? Chunks of JavaScript. So basically, you have a website that has a load of JavaScript, and this is the problem with single page applications, right? Because you're loading all the JavaScript that you need for your whole application, and the user has to download all that JavaScript before they're able to kind of, start loading the website, right? So when we kind of split our JavaScript into different chunks, and we're using, say, like Nuxt for static site generation. So we've got our static site, we've got the home page. We only load the JavaScript that is needed for that home page, which might be very little, right? And then there could be another page with really heavy JavaScript. Could be the booking engine where you're booking a hotel or something. And this has got like lots of JavaScript on it. So you don't have to load that JavaScript on the home page because you don't need it on the home page, right? It's on the booking page. So it's not going to get loaded until you actually go to that booking page. So this is why we should split our chunks up, because you don't want the user downloading all the JavaScript up front, and you don't want them downloading JavaScript that they'll probably never even use because maybe they're never ever going to book your hotel, right? So yeah, basically the root-based chunks, all the pages have their own chunks, and you can see here in this example, this is from my website, and you can see you've got a contact page, the courses page, podcast page, the interviews page, and they all have their own chunks. So yeah, it's all separated. And what do you do to get that? How do you do that? How do you get that? What do you do? Well, you just like create a Vue file and you put it in the pages directory. Cool, right? That's it. That's all you have to do. Just put a Vue file in the pages directory and you've got your root-based chunks, all that code splitting done automatically for you. How cool is that? I know, right? So yeah, like literally this is actually your Vue.js file. And if you're coming from Vue and have never used Nuxt before, you'll be very familiar with the Vue.js file. I actually wrote the course on the Vue.js course on Vue School. So I know what it's like to have to maintain this, to create this and maintain it. And you don't have to do that in Nuxt because it's all done for you, which is very, very, very cool. And I'm showing you this because it's there in case you want to look and see it, but you don't have to even ever look at it. So this is in the .nuxt folder, and this is created in development mode when you're like, running the dev command. And you can go into that folder and you can kind of look at it and you can say, wow, it's there. Like, don't edit it because it's going to be regenerated all the time, right? But you could if you wanted, but it's just going to disappear, so there's no point. But just to give you an idea of how it works, you can literally just create another page, put it in the pages folder, and you can go and check that file and you'll see that has been added automatically to your roots. It's kind of like really cool to look at it. And yeah, this is all done for you. So again, you don't have to do anything here, just showing you that it's there. And you can see like from the import statement that it's a dynamic import. So it's basically doing that code splitting for you. That's how Webpack works, and that's all done for you. And you can also see here the Webpack chunk name, right? That's the magic comments that basically then when you're in the like the dev tools, you can see that it's the blog page, the conference page, the resources page, instead of like just a number and stuff. Again, that's all done for you. I'm just showing you how it's working under the hood. So talking about being lazy, at the Nuxt team, they're very lazy. So they like to be very lazy and not have to do much work. So you can lazy load your components very easily by just adding the word lazy. I'm probably gone a bit too far there. Let me take it back a step. So in Nuxt, you don't have to write import hero component from components hero component and then specify underneath in the script tag component hero component. Right now, if you're still doing that, you don't need to do that anymore. Yeah, because this is like components are loaded automatically. So you don't have to write import statements. You don't have to like say that your component, what component is, etc. You just have to write that code, my component, right? Hero component, Debbie component, whatever component. You just have to put it on the page. That's it. And then if you want to lazy load that component, you just prefix it with the word lazy. So lazy my component, lazy hero component, whatever. And then it's lazy loaded. How cool is that? That's like, wow, mind-blowing, impressive. Really easy to do. When would you lazy load your components? Well, basically like modals, for example. Modals are great examples. When big enough, like, something that's really big, or you don't need it until the user's going to click it, for example, or it's really below the fold, and it's basically like, when it's super heavy JavaScript and you're probably not going to need it because the user is going to have to click it, then lazy load it because that user might never ever click that, right? So it might never ever get loaded. And if it does, it's going to be lazy, so it's there and ready, but it's not going to be loaded up front. So again, Really easy to lazy load components. What are you waiting for? Go do it. Okay, let's talk a little about split chunks. So what split chunk does is it prevents duplication of code. So say you had, I don't know, I'm going to use the booking engine example again. So you've got all this JavaScript for the booking engine and you've got it running on, say, 3 pages. I don't know why, like the hotel page, the home page, and I don't know, the admin page or something, right? So therefore, all the JavaScript for that page is going to be put into like one chunk, and then like it's going to be able to be used on those pages without having to like download it 3 times, right? It's going to be like split up. So this is like a little example here of the planet and how it's kind of like split up into those chunks. So this kind of just prevents duplication with shared chunks. So again, really cool, and it's just done for you. You don't have to do anything. It's just, yeah, it just works. Oh, don't you love Nuxt? So script preloading. So we preload the scripts for you. So like, yeah, basically you'd be putting in link rel preload as a script and deferring them. So these are the scripts that are needed during the current navigation. It's what Nuxt needs to get this page up and running. And yeah, this is all just done as script preloading. So really, really cool. Again, just all done for you out of the box. Love it. Smart link prefetching. So this is really cool. What this is basically Nuxt will have a look at what it sees as what the user might click on, right? Obviously, like Nuxt doesn't know what the user is going to click on, but if there's a link to it, so say in your homepage and you got a menu at the top, right? And at the top menu, you got looking at this example here, contact, courses, podcasts, interviews, guest live stream. So they're all the pages at the very, very top of my menu. So what Nuxt does is it starts prefetching those because it's very possible the user is going to click on it because there's a link to it, right? It's not going to take the, I don't know, another page, the admin page, if there's no link to it. So it's not going to prefetch that because it's probably hard for the user to get there. So once there's links in the viewport, Nuxt will go ahead and start prefetching it. But it will only prefetch it when the browser is idle, when it has nothing to do. So when the browser's finished downloading, say we're on the home page, for example, when it's finished downloading all the JavaScript needed for the home page to load, then it's kind of like doing nothing and it's going, oh, I'm bored now, what'll I do? And it says, oh, look, there's a page there called contact. I'll go and prefetch that in case the user clicks on it. Oh, and there's courses, I'll go prefetch that in case the user clicks on it, right? So it's doing all this. Now it will do it when you have good internet connection. So if you're on 2G, for example, it's not gonna actually go and do that, right? So when you have good internet connection and it's idle, the browser will go ahead and fetch those. And you can see it in like the priority tab here in this image in Chrome DevTools. And you can see like the high priority that was needed for that page to render. And then the low priority, that's kind of like the low stuff. So this was like the bottom of the list, the last thing the browser went and did when it had time to go and do it. So you can always check out and see if your links are being prefetched and if that's all working just very easily in the Chrome DevTools. Really cool. So yeah, this is all done for you. Don't have to do anything. And this is it in action, so you can kind of see how fast it loads. One of them is like loading a lot faster, and you can see the other has that kind of like black bar that's going across, yeah? So it's basically like you can see when something is prefetched, it's just so instant. It's just so cool. It's really, really fast. So yeah, again, once it's in the viewport, it starts loading it, and that's how that works. So analyzing your bundle. Now this is really, really important to analyze your bundle. And this is like built in for you. You've just got to run a command. So yarn build -- analyze or -a for short, or if you're using NPM, of course, you can use NPM. And what it does is it brings up this kind of this HTML page for you with all these lovely squares. Now you're probably looking at going, wow, that looks really nice. Yeah, but what do I do with all that? What on earth is going on here? So this is actually a good version. I was going to show you a really terrible version, but I couldn't because it was so bad. It was so bad. I was like, oh my God, I can't put that up there. But basically, if you were throwing, say, Lodash onto your site and you weren't using like all of those libraries, like you would see that, or Moment.js and all the languages under the sun, you would see that, and you'd be able to kind of look and go, oh my God, I'm loading all this and I don't need it. Why am I loading all this? And then you can start like, you know, editing, removing the packages you don't need. So in this example, for example, like Purify.js, maybe I don't need Purify.js. So if I'm looking at the code, I can see Purify.js is quite big. Am I using that? Do I need it? And then kind of like, look into your application and kind of see where is that being used and why is it being used, etc. So this is a great way to analyze your bundle and find out what's going on. And I encourage you all to run it and to check it out and just make sure you're not loading too much JavaScript, right? Because JavaScript is going to hurt your performance so much. So analyze your bundles. So yeah, really cool. That's all the Webpack stuff for now, okay? So now we're going into some other stuff. But as you can see, Webpack does all this for us and it's really, really, really cool. So yeah, and you don't have to know anything about Webpack to get all that Webpack stuff going on, which is even better. So let's have a look at the Nuxt Performances modules that we have. Now, obviously at Nuxt, you can go to modules.nuxt.js.org and you can see there's over 150 Nuxt modules. There's modules for everything. It's really, really cool. And then you can see like, these are my favorite for performances, and there are more. I didn't choose all of them. Progressive web app, really, really cool. You can get a progressive web app installed in just a single install, such my favorite module. It's probably my favorite module of all the Nuxt modules. Well, not my favorite because Nuxt content is my favorite. But anyway, PWA, definitely one of my favorites. Google Font Loader, so easily load your Google fonts. Really, really cool because we're all using Google Fonts these days, or most of us are. Nuxt Image, what? Yeah, let's look at that in a minute. How to make your images more performant in Nuxt. Nice, interesting, right? And AMP, yeah, you might be into AMP, but you can have Google AMP with a single install if you are. Again, very, very cool. Let's look a little bit more into these and explain it a little bit more further. So with a PWA, like I said, zero config, you pretty much don't have to do much to get a PWA up and running. And if you're using Nuxt, like Create Nuxt app, you can literally just select it when you're choosing, and then it just is installed for you, which is even cooler, right? And if you've already got an application up and running, then you just install the module. So there's 3 steps: installing the module, adding it to your Nuxt config, and adding the image, and that's it. Super simple. So a progressive web app allows you to install Nuxt on your desktop, for example, or on your mobile or any device, which is just really, really cool. So it kind of acts like an application and has that application look and feel, which is great. So what is Nuxt doing for you? So it creates a service worker. If you've ever created service workers yourself, sometimes oh my God, yeah, they can be a nightmare. So this is registering a service worker for offline caching for you. It's just all done for you, but you can obviously just check it in the dev tools. You can go into Chrome and you can see how it's set up and you can see that it's there. That service work is working. But again, I'm just showing you what's under the hood. You don't even need to look at this ever or know this. I'm just, showing you how it works, but all you got to do is super simple. It automatically generates a manifest JSON file, right? This is what you need for your progressive web app. And this is automatically generated for you with the name, Nuxt.js, short name, nuxt.js.org, the start URL, the theme color. The theme color I actually added in myself. This is the only thing I configured into it, which you'll need to do if you want to get full score for the progressive web app. And everything else is done for you, right? And you can look at the documentation for the PWA module, and you can add more things if you want, and you can modify that and change that config to how you like. It automatically generates app icons with different sizes. Now this is really cool, right? Because all you've got to do is put a 512 by 512 pixels PNG image into the static folder, and then basically it's going to automatically generate the different sizes for you. So you can see here, it generated a 64 by 64 that's maybe needed for the iPhone, for example, and 120 by 120 for, I don't know, maybe the iPad, for example, or whatever. So it's going to generate all those for you. And again, you don't have to do anything. You just got to put the image in there, bang, done, phew. Super simple, right? Really cool. So then your Lighthouse tests pass, right? Which is really cool to have the progressive web app Lighthouse tests passing. This is actually from Lighthouse 7. So there are a couple of changes from Lighthouse 6 to Lighthouse 7. From Lighthouse 6, there were 3 categories for the progressive web app. In Lighthouse 7, there are only 2. They've kind of put them into together, some of them. Like the start URL before was in a different one, and now it's in the optimized one. But it doesn't make a lot of difference at all, so you don't have to worry about it. But just be aware of it if you're kind of checking this out. And the only thing I had to do in order to get full score was add that theme color. So just, add that theme color to the address bar. And that comes up at the very top of your application. You'll see it in the next screenshot. And I chose green. You could choose purple, red, whatever. Just test it out. So yeah, check out your Lighthouse testing and make sure you're getting everything, make sure that Progressive Web App is installed correctly. And this is it here, like I said, that green bar at the top. And yeah, it looks like an app, right? This is on my desktop. And what's really cool about this is that I could basically ask, if I say this, it'll all go wrong and my whole talk will be ruined. So I'm going to spell out the word. But if I said, hey, S-I or I, yeah, you'll know what I mean. Open Nuxt. Nuxt will just open on my computer just like that, which is really cool. Now you might say, yeah, but you can just like open Chrome and then like type Nuxt. Yeah, you can, but sometimes I just don't have my hands free and I want to ask S-I or I, right? Or you might not have that person. So you can do another thing. I've got Stream Deck actually. Stream Deck is really cool. So I've got like a Nuxt icon on my Stream Deck and I just click it and it opens up my my application. So again, really cool. There's a lot of different use cases for it. Completely up to you, but I just thought it was cool. So I thought I'd share. Okay, moving on. Let's go into Google Fonts, right? So Google Fonts, like the rocket, super fast. It adds DNS prefetching and it pre-connects and preloads to Google for your fonts. So again, fonts are can be a big problem when it comes to performances. So making sure your fonts are performing is really important. And yeah, so using this module, you just install the module and then it's going to go and prefetch that DNS. What does that mean? Well, basically I'm on like, Nuxt and I need to go to another DNS. I need to go to Google. It's kind of like picking up the phone and saying, hey, I want to connect anyone there. And then like, you connect and then you load it. So this is kind of being done for you ahead of time. So when it needs that font, it's just like ready. It doesn't have to go, oh, I need that font. Oh, hang on, I need to go to Google and say, Google, can I connect to you? Can I get that font? Okay, back and down, right? So it gets all that done ahead of time for you, which is really cool. So AMP, accelerated mobile pages. I'm not a big AMP fan myself, but sometimes it can be very useful if you're running like e-commerce or magazine type news kind of websites and stuff. And you can have like this kind of very limited, like there's no JavaScript and there's no CSS and it's just like basic kind of, it's weird, but it's good because it's very, very performant and it's basically like a web component framework to easily create like user first experiences. And if you're into it, we have a module and it works and it's cool. So do check that out if you're using AMP. Nuxt Image. Oh my God, what are you talking about, Debbie? What is this? So Nuxt Image, this is super cool. This is like new. It hasn't been released yet. It's going to be released soonish. Soon means when it's ready. But it's really, really, really cool. So basically you've got lazy loading for your image. You got full static support, CDN support, and generates responsive sizes. Now, basically how it works is like the image tag and the picture tag. So your HTML image and your HTML picture tag. And we're just using Nuxt image, Nuxt picture, right? Simple, Nuxt image, Nuxt picture. Obviously you've got to install the module, and add it into your Nuxt config for it to work. Don't just put Nuxt image in your code and expect something to happen because it won't. It's a module that you need to install. So what does it do exactly? So you've got presets. So JPEG cover, for example, and you can set like loads of different kind of presets of image modifiers for you. So then you can use them again and again easily throughout your application. And then you've got like, fit. So fit cover, fit fill, fit whatever. So to specify the size of the image. Loading of lazy, right? So very important to lazy load. So automatically it's going to lazy load the images for you. WebP, it can serve images in specific formats. Quality, you can choose the different quality of your image to have a lesser quality, so to improve your performance, for example. And prevent layout shifting, very important. So it sets the size of the image based on the aspect ratio, and that kind of means, it's not going to load the page and then go, oh, I needed more than I expected, and kind of like shift, yeah? So that's really, really cool. You can use it with your favorite provider. Now you all know my favorite provider is Cloudinary, and you can use it very easily with Cloudinary. You just put in the provider, Cloudinary. How cool. I mean, you will have to kind of add the Cloudinary thing to your Nuxt config, but basically then using it, like very simple, provider Cloudinary, and then you can have another image that's not using Cloudinary, right? So that's how easy you can mix like Cloudinary and just, something from the static folder, for example. And source main.png, width, height, and then add your modifiers. So your extra things that are coming from Cloudinary, like round corner, etc. So yeah, really cool. And there are other providers. So it's not just Cloudinary. I recommend Cloudinary, but there are other providers that you can use, and there is support for them as well. So just, check that out. And don't worry if you're not a Cloudinary fan, there are other possibilities. So yeah, Nuxt picture, like I said, it works the same as the HTML picture tag. So basically you're getting that extra, you're getting an extra div and you're getting the picture and then the source set and then the image. So what it does is it creates a placeholder. So it creates that low quality image for when the image is loading, and then it just kind of like gets replaced. So this is really good if you got like really heavy, like lots of image, like say a movie application like Netflix or something like that. That would be a great use case. And yeah, the format, WebP or AVIF, serve modern format when the browser supports it. So again, that's also just there and working. So really cool. So yeah, Nuxt image is lighter weight than Nuxt picture. So bear that in mind, that you don't want to be putting picture on all your application. So just, again, think about when would you use the image tag and when would you use the picture tag, and kind of go with that. And that's it. That's really, really cool. That's coming soon. So watch out for that release. And basically, yeah, like literally just like be Nuxt, be performant. Nuxt is very performant, out of the box. This is all just like practically done for you. This is why I think you should use Nuxt. And yeah, I really hope you make your website more performant, analyze your code, check all that out, and just be Nuxt, because Nuxt is awesome. It's so awesome that NASA is using Nuxt. This is so cool. So their website is built using Nuxt, which is, it's incredible. So yeah, like the first photograph from Mars was like actually on this site, was it's on a Nuxt site. Like that's just cool, right? So yeah, NASA thinks Nuxt is super fast and super performant, so you should too. That's what I want to say. So seriously, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed the talk. If you want to follow up on more of this, you can follow me on Twitter, Debs_O'Brien. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Debbie O'Brien, and you can follow me on YouTube, Debbie O'Brien. So really easy to follow me. And my website is debbie.codes. So if you forget all of that, Debbie.codes is really easy to remember. Just go to Debbie.codes, you get all those links. And yeah, I live on Twitter. I'm always there. So do come and say hello and send me a message, and follow me on YouTube for more Nuxt videos and lots of fun stuff. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye.